Hello guys and girls out there, wherever you are. Welcome to another totally random weekly video, and today's video is again mini disc related because, as you may know, I wasn't really that pleased with the Sony MDS-S40, so that's why I decided to get another small mini disc deck, and this is it. Yeah, in today's video we're going to take a closer look at the Sony MDS-S40, and this is obviously the black version. There is also a silver gray version available, and yeah, we will see. I mean, I spent a little bit more money on this deck than I actually intended, but I would say it was still acceptable. Let's just say it was less than 50 euros, which is already kind of too much for a deck like this. But yeah, that's the way it is. So as you can tell, it is a small deck as well. It is wider than the MDS-101, but it still is smaller than a normal standard sized mini disc deck. So here we have the back. We have the normal analog line in and line out, as well as a optical digital line in. Unfortunately, there is no digital line out, but this deck is not standing anywhere where I would need that, so that's not a problem for me. And then we also have this one, the beep on and off switch. And that's kind of a weird thing. I have never seen that on a mini disc deck before. And I mean, I know the concept of the beeping. It's probably to help blind people. So you have different beeping signals for different, like different warning tones or whatever. I know that my MZ NH600 has a beeping function that I can turn on and off, but that's a mini disc Walkman, and the beeping comes through the headphones. So I thought, okay, if this thing has a beeping, it probably comes through the speakers when speakers are attached, or when this thing is hooked up to another device like an amplifier or whatever, so that the beeping comes through the line out. But no, it is beeping even if it's not connected to anything, so there is probably a little speaker or whatever inside that does the beeping. So that's something that I find quite interesting, that it's not coming through the speakers but the device itself. So I want to keep it turned on for right now because I think it's kind of a little bit interesting, and I think I could like it. I don't know. We will see if it annoys me at one point. So now let's put this thing in its place, and then let's take a closer look at the functions and features. What's the difference between features and functions? I have to look that up. Okay, so here it is in its place. This is not the original remote control, but the original remote control is pretty much exactly like that. So it's the same kind of remote control with the same features and buttons and whatsoever. So let's turn this thing on and see what it can do. Let's place the mini disc right here. So again, the stuff with the beeping. So what have we here? So we have, of course, the sensor for the remote control. We have a little switch to change between digital and analog input. The scroll button, so obviously it doesn't work right now because there isn't a disc inside. So that means if you push that button, it is scrolling through the name of the track again. If you have a track name, then the play mode, so we can choose between That's hard to see. Shuffle and program. We have the repeat button, so we can repeat the entire disc. We can repeat only the current song. We also have a display button, which doesn't do anything right now because there is no disc inside. Here we have the menu button. Because there is no disc inside, we now enter the setup menu, and we can select yes by pushing the yes button, or we can also push this, how do you call it, jogging wheel or whatever, and then we can select the different things. As you can tell, it gives me a warning tone if I want to go that way, but this is only already the end of this menu. So I'm assuming that those beepings are for blind people. So we can track mark live sync, which means that it's setting the track marks whenever it detects a silence of, I think, minimum 2 seconds or something like this. And live sync is also if we want to sync record with an optical line in. This is the track mark, so we can decide how loud it has to be in order to set a track mark. So if it's below 50 or minus 50 dB, then it will set a track mark. If it's below minus 50 dB for more than 2 seconds, we can also raise that up. Auto off and on. So this is the auto space function. So auto space means that it creates a space of, I don't know, 4 seconds or something like this. If you play a mini disc, obviously you are using this if you want to record this mini disc onto a cassette, and on a cassette you need at least 4 seconds of blank space between each song so that the cassette deck can detect where one song ends and another song begins. So in case you want to search for a specific song, or you want to skip songs, I mean, there's cassette decks that can do that. And there is also the auto pause function. So that means when we play a mini disc and a song is over, it would automatically go into pause mode after that song. Smart space. So if you record from, for example, an analog source or maybe a digital source with constant bit stream, if there is a lot of silence but it still doesn't set a track mark, and then all of a sudden the music continues, it would be very dumb to have like a portion of silence that is too long, because that way it would reduce the recording time of this disc. So Smart Space will jump to, I think, 2 or 3 seconds of silence instead of recording at, let's say, 10 seconds of silence. So this way it jumps back and it records after 2 or 3 seconds of silence, so that we have saved around 5 seconds or so. Then this is obviously the peak, hold, on and off. This is the sleep timer. We can only turn the sleep timer on and off, but we cannot select how long the sleep timer is supposed to be. So the standard is 60 minutes. And here we also can choose if we want to record in stereo or in mono. It's pretty weird. It's pretty weird that we have to select the mono and stereo recording in the menu instead of having a button or a switch somewhere to select that. So that's kind of a little bit weird. So now let's take a look when we have a mini disc inside. So of course we have the display button to change between showing us how long these tracks are, how much recording time is left, and the name. I also like that little light right here. So again, name, elapsed time, remaining time. Yeah, pretty standard stuff. And like I said, scroll is scrolling through the name again. So what kind of editing functions do we have? So we can put name inside, so this time we don't need a remote control like we did on the MDS-101. We can erase tracks, we can move tracks around, we can combine tracks, we can divide them, A and B release in case A and B is set. Don't really know how to set that right now at the moment. Probably when you play a minidisc. So you set not a track mark, but you set kind of a mark somewhere in the song and then a second mark, so an A and a B mark, and then you can play the music inside, so you can create a small kind of loop in case you want to learn the lyrics of a song or whatever. And we can erase the entire disc, and then this is the setup. So let's see if we have anything else during play mode. No. So when it comes to the recording, we can go to, I mean, if I play a song right now, do you notice anything? It is playing the song right now. You can see it that the time is. So what is unusual right now? There is no VU meter when you are in the play mode, when it's playing a song. There is no VU meter. That's also kind of unique. I haven't seen that before on any kind of minidisc recorder. So you probably wonder what happens if I want to record something. So if you go into rec pause mode by pushing a record button, we can use the display button to show us the VU meter. So we have to push an extra button so that the display turns into the VU meter. Also kind of unique. And we also have a time-lapse record function, or whatever it's called. So if we do that, if we are in rec pause mode, or so you can start the recording by pushing this button or wheel, or you can push the T record button on the remote control, and this way it starts recording with already let's turn the beeping off, with 6 seconds of music buffer. So if you are in rec pause mode, there is a buffer of 6 seconds that will constantly fill with the last 6 seconds of the music. And this way it's very useful, for example, if you want to record from a radio broadcast or something like this, so you don't miss the beginning of the song. You know, sometimes the song begins and then you push record or something like that, and you've already lost like half or a second or something like this. So if you use the time record or time space or whatever this function is called, function, then there is a buffer of 6 seconds. So that's also very nice and very useful. So yeah, that's it. That is the Sony MDS-S40, and I think it's a nice small minidisc deck. I mean, compared to the size of a remote control, as you could tell, it is wider than the MDS-101, which was pretty much just as wide as the remote control. So this is like all extra, but still it is smaller than a standard sized minidisc deck. and I kind of like it. I hope that I will keep it for a long time, that I will be happy with it. And yeah, that's it for the moment. By the way, it also has a undo function to undo the last editing, whatever you did. So that's also something nice. Yeah, so that's it right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next totally random video. Bye!